Hey everyone, so this is Elementary Season 5. I didn't put up last week's episode because it was a two-part episode, and then I got sidetracked a little bit last week, so I decided to just put both of them up today and just do one whole episode or one whole video for it. So I'm going to do episodes 15 and 16. So that's what I plan on doing today, episode 15 and 16, starting with Wrong Side of the Road. And it starts off at the precinct, and Sherlock is supposed to be at this funeral of an old colleague named Cy. But he is there for an interrogation of a guy who had killed his partner. And so we're on the other side of the two-way mirror of the interrogation, and this guy who was in the interrogation room is like, sweating and all that stuff, and he's and he's and he's really agitated, but and it's not because he's in the interrogation, it's because he has the gun that was used in a certain place, which should be fairly obvious as to where that is. Then at next thing we know, we're at Cy's funeral, and Sherlock gets a text from an unknown number saying Cy didn't die from natural causes, and that he was murdered. But so Sherlock texts the person back, and we find out it's Kitty. She's come back, at least for the episode, or at least 2 episodes. She says that if she's right, he won't be the last person to be killed. Joan comes back and finds Kitty at the house. Kitty says that she didn't tell anyone that she was coming back because she didn't know if she and Sherlock were next, because long story short, pretty much there's this case that happened. I'm outside, by the way, that's why I'm like waving my hands around. But anyway, so there's this case in London, England, about 3 years before, where this American dude named Eli Kotite had ran over this British woman who was jogging, and he, like I said, he ran her over, then ran himself, and so she and Sherlock were put on the case at the time when it happened, and they found enough evidence to bring him to trial and convict him. So basically, the judge that presided over the case in London, the prosecutor who prosecuted the case, and the lawyer that Kotite was given, or that he had used, all wind up dead. And they all look like accidents or suicides, and none of them look like murders, even though pretty much everyone can safely assume that they were murdered. It's just going about proving it. Basically, long story short, during the entire first episode, the gang tries to prove that Eli Kotite is the one who killed everyone, but it turns out it's not him. Because not only was it not him, but he ends up murdered himself. But they know that he wasn't murdered, or he wasn't an accident or suicide, because when Kotite got put into prison, into the British prison, he got jumped and or attacked, um, uh, and got paralyzed because apparently Brits don't like when Americans kill fellow Brits in Britain. So apparently that's a thing. Not I would be kind of salty if some British dude killed tons of Americans. I probably would be salty too. So I'm not gonna be totally against it. But anyway, so that's pretty much what they try to do the entire episode, 15th episode. Um, um, and we find out during the 15th episode that Kitty wants to quit detective work. We also find out that she has a son named Archie, or Archibald. He, I think, is less than a year old, or about a year old, right now. And the father is someone who she met in college, and she reconnected with. I don't think they're actually together, but yeah, that's what happened. She has a son, and that's at least part of the reason why she wants to get out of being a detective. Um, um, and during the episode, this episode, I thought it was Sai's widow who killed him, because right, it killed everyone else. I didn't know why, but I thought it was her because they found red hair, because Sai's body was dug up after he was buried, and set on fire, and there were red hairs at the crime scene where Sai's body was dug up. And Sai's widow has red hair, and I assumed, since it was like, dyed hair, that she might be dyeing her hair or whatever, but apparently it wasn't. Well, I was so off. We also found out that the Emmy who did the autopsy on Sai got $50,000 in a wire transfer from a Cameroonian account. So whoever was behind this whole conspiracy gave her $50,000 to say it was natural causes. That's why Sai died. Because the entire time she was like really wrecking on my nerves. The entire episode I was like, girl, stop. Anyway, so basically that was the entire episode, and at the end, when Sherlock, John, and Kitty are on the way back to the house, and they're talking about Kotite, they see military or some agency outside their house, outside and inside their house. So Joan has Sherlock take Kitty somewhere else where she can be seen, and goes inside. Excuse me. And he goes inside. Once inside, he gets arrested. So that brings us to episode 2, or 16th episode. Sherlock, we see Sherlock in a holding cell where Anson Gephardt is holding him, and Sherlock is told to stop investigating the Kotite murders, or the other murders besides Kotite. The Sherlock is then dropped off and Joan picks him up. He tells her that Anson Gephardt, the guy that the DIA agent that was interrogating him, took him and is the one who killed people involved in Kotai's trial. Basically, it's this whole... Sorry about that. There's a plane going around. So basically, the entire episode uncovers the conspiracy going on. We find out that Anson Gephardt wanted to basically start a war between Iran and the U.S. And the way to do that was to get some Fidel files from this guy named Garber, who worked with this guy named Tom, who defended Kotite. So basically there's the Garber worked with Tom, who defended Kotite, and Garber was like roommates with this Venezuelan guy in law school, and the roommate that Garber was roommates with had apparently files on files from Fidel Castro and what he compiled together within the last 50 years of his life and all that stuff. And so in exchange for getting the Fidel files from Garber's old roommate, the roommate wanted a bomb to go off in Venezuela so that his boss, the president, could get reelected. Tom found out, and he started spilling the beans in court during Kotai's trial. And the only reason why he did that was because he's a paranoid schizophrenic and he didn't take his meds at the time, and that's basically the roundabout way to explain it. Excuse me. So that's basically the entire episode in like 2 seconds. And the whole Kitty storyline kind of pretty much continues out this whole episode, and we find out the reason why Sherlock is angry rather than disappointed is because she just stopped talking to him after she left. She stopped talking to him altogether, and he felt like if she truly thought of him as a friend, she would have kept in touch with him regardless. So oh, and I forgot about the video file that was released to the media about Iran having secret nuclear weapons, a secret nuclear weapon program going on, and that was Gephardt's way of starting the war between Iran and the U.S. I mean, it was obviously fake, but that was how you plan on sparking that war. It was to release that video. And so Sherlock manages to figure out the video is fake, gets to the NSA, and whole crisis averted. So basically, Sherlock and Kitty resolve the issues. Kitty explains that, deep down, that she was planning on getting on the detective business for months before she left anyway, because months before she left anyway, because when she got revenge for her on her rapist for her rape, a weight had been lifted, I think she had said, and so she had decided to give it up because that was her sole purpose of becoming a detective in the first place, was to get revenge for what her rapist had done to her. So, that's why she explains that, part of the reason why she just kind of continued to um, detective work was because she Sherlock. That's what Sherlock does. Is he puts his everything into being a detective, and so she just followed his example after she left and went back to London, but then realized that's not what she really wanted to do. Um, anyway, so she decides to make Joan and Sherlock godparents to Archie and have do a baptism, I think it is. Can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway, that's what the episode ends on. Next week on Elementary Rock and Roll and then Mystic Guitar is at the center of next week's case. Doesn't look like Shinwell is coming back next week. If so, I didn't see in the promo, but we haven't seen him in a little bit, so might see him next week for like 2 seconds. But I mean, he's only a recurring character, so at this point, I'm hoping he becomes a regular, but I have a feeling that he's gonna die sometime soon. So, yeah, that is what's going on next week. Is somehow someone gets murdered because rock and roll and a missing guitar is involved. So, we'll see what happens next week. Bye.